Hey everybody, one of the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at the Cascuda versus Maximus combined army and Aleph pack for Infinity, which was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy from Corvus Belli, and contains 2 special edition exclusive scenic bases. Now, my understanding is these models will both be available separately in the future, but are being released as a 2-pack basically to celebrate the release of End Song and the moving forward of the timeline of the Infinity Universe. If you don't know who these 2 characters are, Maximus is a former Aristea, so imagine like American Gladiators, but set in Altered Carbon. He is an Optimate who is one of the athletes that perform it. He is the ultimate champion of Aristea. He is the greatest Aristea player of all time, and he's just this sort of genetic Superman. He decides, because of his own morality, not because of any political affiliations, he's going to join the support subsection of the AI that runs the human sphere called Aleph, and go and fight the aliens, because they are now occupying a big chunk of human space as the story moves forward. This is a Cascuda, which is another tag. These guys are both tags, tactical assault gear. This guy's just wearing the tag. This guy is the tag. He's a robot. Now, the Extra are a feature of the story that's returned to Infinity. They're basically bug people. And for a long time, they were out of the Infinity universe because, well, they don't come back if you kill them. They are bugs. They are very much like the bugs from, let's say, Ender's Game or Starship Troopers, where once you break through their armor, their guts spill out and they're just dead. So when the combined army ran out of bugs, they basically sent for reinforcements, and the arrival of the Extra is what effectively overruns the Cerberus Gate and breaks these guys into the human sphere, where they're now an occupying force in one of the circular areas. So yeah, this is their celebration pack, and it's 2 big giant robots made in Cyocast. So we're gonna cup these guys open so you guys can get an idea of what this is gonna look like and what the quality of the models are. So now, if you haven't used Cyocast before, I've done a review of it previously. I'm fine with this material. Some people find it a little bit too granular or toothy, but so far I haven't really had a bad experience with it. I am more comfortable, I think, with a material like this because I've done a lot of resin miniatures, and I've put everything together from the highest quality Forge World casts to the most absolutely wretched homemade casts in my life, and this falls somewhere in between, where it's this is fine, this is not bad. The price reduction of this versus metal definitely reflects the fact that you can do a little extra work cleaning this up. So this is injected cast resin. It is soft enough that you can just clip and cut it. And so far, with the first of the 2 exclusive bases, it's okay. There is a little bit of a casting error right here. You can see there's a bit of a void, which isn't going to matter because I'm going to glue over top of it. So it's not entirely perfect. There's a little bit of an air bubble void right there from the injection process. But the bigger one is actually perfect. It looks just fine. There's a slight warp from the injection point, which is fine, which was cut off and then scrape clean with a very sharp hobby knife. My old surgical steel hobby knife from Games Workshop, which is probably older than a bunch of people watching this video. There are some mold lines there. You can see there's a slight shift here, which again, I'll just scrape off and not worry about too much. You can see there's just along this. But again, if you're painting the base lip black, you're not even gonna see this. It's just gonna disappear. I'm just gonna scrape it off for my own edification. But not too bad. And of course, it does come supplied with regular bases as well. So if you just want to use the regular bases, then you don't have to worry about this. I'm going to use the cool, fun, scenic bases, though, because I want to. And because I play Steel Flanks / Aleph / Good Guy Robots, I'm going to, well, Good Guy arguably, I'm going to clean and put together Maximus first. So the first baggie appears to have his legs and hips in it, which is perfect. So having cleaned his base, I can then clip this off. A bit of venting and mold lining on the bottom here, but that's going to get glued down anyway, so I'm not actually worried about that. Mold lining along the edge. I don't really see any. There's a little bit of bone on his shin here, which again, I'll just carve off. But for the most part, it's relatively clean. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have silver flash everywhere, so I'm not super worried about what's on here. I would say the amount is acceptable. It's not immaculate. I would say if you're looking for what level of cleaning flash this is, I would say the new Ninja Cool stuff that CB's making was definitely cleaner than this. If that's an 8.5, this is a 6.57 when it comes to the amount of flash on here. Those, is it Unicool or Ninja Cool or whatever it was? Those were immaculate. The new Assassin AR and the new Marut. Those miniatures were super clean. You can get those in the current expanded ITS pack. They are prizes that come in there. So there's the first leg, nice and clean. Couple of pipes on the torso and hips that I'll cut off. I don't think that's a pipe. That looks like the piece by which his multi-rifle is attached, so I'm not going to accidentally clip that off. But we will check later if it needs to come off. And then we will carve out just the roughness. Slight mold line along the side here. And I'm not going to build a Cascuda right now. I'm just going to build Maximus because I'm going to assume that whatever the casting quality on this is roughly the same. I'll give it a visual inspection, but I'm not going to make you sit and watch me put together 2 miniatures and be like, this is my review. I'm just going to do my hobby time and put it on camera, everybody. How you like that? Everything is content. And then we'll clean off his other leg. Another vent pipe right there, which can just get scraped off and clipped off. There's a teeny little one on his hip here, but actually this leg is even better than this first one, actually, I think, for mold. There's very little mold line on it. There's like a tiny little like hint of one right there. But that's pretty clean. Maybe a teeny little one right here. Yeah, but it's mostly clean. All right, and as is my tradition, I am going to glue as I go, because this way, and yeah, shout out to Guerrilla Glue Thick, which I find is actually really good for the Siocast stuff. I'm going to be letting this dry while I'm cleaning the rest of it. That's my little trick for, if you're going to clean a big model like this, get part of it drying and gluing, so you don't have to watch me struggle with that. I'll do the hips, and then, oh yeah, and that fits really good, actually. That cleaned up just fine. There's no problem with that. And then I'll just put a little bit of glue on the bottom of this and throw them on the base, and that way, hopefully by the time I'm done dry or clipping and cleaning and inspecting the next set, this guy's all ready to get his arms glued on. And you can see that. So that big chunk of like tactical rock can be just naked on a base if you want, right? As like just a tactical rock, or it just fits into this base. There we go. As like a feature, I'm just gonna hold that for like 2 seconds. I do find the porousness of the Siocast does let the super glue dry to it really quickly. Like it helps, it seems to like absorb some of the moisture in the super glue, meaning that the drying time is actually relatively low. And I'll just put him aside so I can grab the next one. And that would be this baggie. So are you arms? What are you? You appear to be the back piece and one arm with a shield. So that's perfect, because then I can do that one. I'm gonna put this Cascuda base back in here because I don't need it right now. And we'll give Max a little love. Clip his elbow here, got a vent. A bit of more lining along the back of the arm there. I'd give this piece like a 6.5 probably for mold lines. That's actually kind of a deep mold line. The finer the piece is, the more the mold line I think is an issue. This is his punch in hand, actually. This is the one that's winding up to give the Cascuda the 1-2. And there's a vent on this back piece. Because the more the vent sits in a place, like they purposefully put the vents into a place where, which is smart, where it's going to be where the two pieces are glued together. So even if it's a little bit rough from the cleaning, you're never going to actually see it typically, because it's going to be obscured because those two pieces are basically getting glued together. It does mean though that if you don't clean it, you don't clip it properly, you get an imperfect flushness to the fit. So the fit isn't perfect anymore, which can be annoying. So while it's kind of like a, was the old term, robbing Peter to pay Paul, you're doing it in such a way that you will obscure the mess, but you're also doing it in a place where it can create a bit of imperfection, where like the pieces separate because the remaining material is pushing them apart. And then the two vents on this shield. Yeah, there's kind of a mold line on the back here. I will say that this isn't the best cast shield, but there's no missing material. It just has a bunch of additional material along this wide flat edge, which isn't too bad. But there is, in some of there's silvering, which means that in between these two pieces where there should be a gap, I'm gonna have to carve out some material to make that gap appear, because there's just a little bit of material that's squirted out between the two plates in the mold and kind of joined up where there should be a gap. I just got to get in there and like clean it out with a blade. Yeah, I'd give this piece a 5 for like cleanness of cast. Not that it's bad, but like it's an annoying piece. It's not just cleaning where the vents are. It's like, oh, I need to get that cleaned out because it's gonna. One side's gonna have a big hole in between these two pieces, and the other side's just gonna clearly be stuck together if I don't. And that looks okay. And this shield looks like, I almost want to paint it separately. Maybe prime it black instead of priming it white, because I tend to prime all my Aleph stuff white, so maybe I'll leave it off. And then the other last bit here, does he have a helmeted head? Tell me he has a helmeted head, that'd be cool. No, he doesn't, I'm lying. No helmeted head, just shoulder pads, big shoulder pads, and there's his other hand, his shield hand. That looks like all the pieces. So maybe we'll get the arms and the back piece on this guy. I'm gonna clean this last arm and then I'll let that dry while I am cleaning the last few pieces. That arm was really clean, actually. The arm holding the shield was really well done. It was really nice and clean. Whatever that spin was a good one. Maybe it was an early spin. So let's throw a little glue in that. Now I do love, these are kind of self-pinning. I will say that having these little square posts, which means you cannot screw up the build because they go where they're supposed to go. The arms go where they're meant to go because there's like a flush fit basically. I do appreciate that. I like that a lot, and I'm glad that that is something they are still doing. Let's look at that piece. I think it's gonna go like this. Yep, this arm's gonna go down. That looks correct. And no, it isn't a back piece, actually, it's his chest piece. That's funny. We'll put the other arm in, and then we'll put that chest piece in. Because this is the arm that's winding up to give you the old 1-2. He's gonna smash with the shield, and then he's gonna punch you in the face. Just imagine Maximus using the Mike Tyson line. Every Cascuda's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Like, what does this guy do? Oh, he fights other giant robots. How? Oh, he just walks over and like sucker punches them until they lay down. Could you imagine being that guy? I love that. Some real steel nonsense right there. All right, his chest plate is on. There we go. Got his chest plate going. And then we can clean off these last little bits while that's drying. And I'll put the shield on, what the hell. I ain't fancy, I don't need to paint all these pieces. I'm not gonna paint this in sub-assemblies. Let's just glue that shield on too. But I'll let the arm dry for a second. So this is the first shoulder pad in the head. I will say, the casting quality in the head, this is gonna be really hard for the camera to focus on because it's so tiny, so I'm gonna go like that. But the quality of casting on the head is really nice. There's no mold line, there's nothing on there, it's perfect. Which is nice. That's the last piece on Earth you wanna have some kind of like actual like issue with. And so, it is very nice that that piece is perfect, right down to his little Superman curly cue of hair, which I think is adorable and very much in theme for this guy because he's like literal Superman. He's literal Man of Steel phalanx. I should just paint him like Superman. Oh, Superman, you weirdo. So this shoulder pad is nice and clean. The vents are fine. No real mold lines at all, actually. These last few pieces are actually really good. The big shoulder pad, same. Maybe because these are just like slightly chunkier pieces, the mold fit was better. The shield is very flat. It's hard to cast flat things because when they come out warm, they change shape as you remove them from the mold. It is a real challenge, especially probably with a material like this, to cast anything that needs to be very precise and flat. And then his enormous multi-rifle, or multi-marksman rifle, he said, question mark, I think is what it is. I think that's supposed to be a sight guide. No, it's not, it's flash. I'm taking it off. If it was a sight guide, now it's gone. Casting on that's pretty good. There's one more line along the bottom here, which isn't perfect, but not terrible. And then just this little like injection point chunk that needs to come out. Sweet. All right, well, let's do the head last because I'm gonna screw that up and drop it and then we'll never see it again on this floor, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do the big shoulder pad and the punching arm first. And throw that in there, and that's gonna again cover this up. Oh, I like that big shoulder pad. Did I put that on the right way? I think that's the right way. Yeah, it looks like the right way to me. Then the second one, yeah, it looks like the right way to me. Then the second one's gonna go over here, which is the small shoulder pad, so you can see over it, because he wants to be able to see where he's going. I missed a vent to clean. I was being hasty because I didn't want you guys to get bored listening to me talk and build a miniature in front of you. And this one, oops. See, this is why I said don't drop it, because if I drop it on camera, it's gone. We're gonna flip that guy over and put him like that. And then it's his head, his little noggin, his gun, and then I'll do his shield last. I'll let that dry for a minute and then do his shield. And it's funny because he's big, but he's not that big. Like, his body is roughly the same size as the Agamemnon, but like he is a tough boy. Like, he is a armor 7 size 6 tag, which is bananas for how tough he is. And then his gun goes on his back here. There's actually a slot for it, which is cool. And then it's his shield, and we're all finished. So not a bad build. Let's kind of like, I don't know how exactly long this video is going to be, but let's say this was maybe 20 minutes to build, like all in, and no pinning required because all these pieces are sort of like self-fitting, which is cool. Like, look, I just pushed, again, the tooth in that, I just pushed that on and it's staying where it wants to sit, which I think is very nice. And then it's just this arm with the shield, because I'm not going to be fancy. I'm just going to paint it on there and not worry about it. And it goes like that. And look, that's day 2. And there it is, Maximus. Maximus Decimus Aurelius. And he will have his vengeance. Not a bad model, I gotta say. A little more cleaning than I was expecting for a brand new mold, but they might have spun a gajillion of these because it's like an event and pre-order exclusive, so it could have been that mold is getting used hot and heavy real fast, and I got one at the end of the spin. Your mileage might vary. You might get a really nice cast. You might get a cast that's more like this one. You might get a cast that's worse. So I can't really speak to the casting quality, but overall, the mold, if you get a good cast, the face held tons of really nice detail. The cuts are all really good. And apart from some cleaning, the actual like sculpt is fantastic. I love the base too. The base is nice and crisp. So yeah, I'd give it like 7 out of 10. It's totally fine. It's passable. It's a cool miniature. And yeah, and once you paint him up, I think he's going to look badass in my Infinity army, my Aleph army in particular. So we're not going to do the Cascuda, but I will inspect the pieces real fast for you guys, just so you can see what the quality's like. Because there are some big flat pieces in here that could get concerning, especially his like Evangelion wings, which look fine. There's actually just a vent. There's no mold lines at all on that. These would be the biggest offenders if there was going to be like a giant problem. There's going to be a tiny hint of a mold line on the back there. The head, once again, looks fine. Chest piece looks fine. And this body piece, bit of a mold line through the center right there, but other than that, it's fine too. Already looked at the base. It's the guns, the other bit. His giant combi rifle and his sword hands would be the other bits I would be concerned about. And yeah, the gun's fine. Actually, better for mold lines than the other pieces. There's not really any mold. There's maybe not even a hint of a mold line on the top of that. Maybe the teeniest hint right there, and then there's an injection point right there to clean off. But the gun is perfect. His weird shoulder pads, also fine. I like that there's like a CB logo on the bits of extra material right there. And then his big giant Soul Calibur hands. Yeah, they're fine too. No mold lines, that's good. That's good. No, I'm happy with that. Let's just quickly look at the body and we can see what we can see. His legs. Yeah, there's a mold line across the thigh there. But that's not actually a shift. That's actually the plates of the knees. That's fine. I was like, for a second, I was like, is that a shift? I was like, oh no, it's on the other side too. It's actually just it's the way that the armor is structured. There's like a oblong thing across the middle of the armor. It's not a mold line. That thigh is actually a lot cleaner than the other one. And then the torso, little teeny bit of a mold line there, but mostly good. Yeah, some venting. but that's okay too. And then that back plate is fine. Actually, no injection point. No injection point inside this back plate either. See, so it'll sit flush no matter what, which is cool. There it is. So 2 very bigly models. Now, if you want to see these guys actually like fully assembled, I'm not gonna make you watch the whole thing, but I'll assemble the Cascuda and I'll show it to you on the paint table, which will be up later today or tomorrow, because I got a whole bunch of things to do for that. And then the, hopefully I'll get this guy painted in the next little while, because I'm excited about him for my Aleph army. And I've got the stats for him because the profiles got spoiled, so I can see the 71-point vanilla Aleph version of him. So if I'm not using reinforcements, I can put this guy on the table and actually throw it down with him, which I'm pretty pumped about. So there it is, the, what was it called again? Cascuda versus Maximus, the new limited edition pack for Infinity and 4, celebrating the release of Endsong and the moving forward of the timeline. Big thanks to CB for sending along this copy, and you guys for watching me dither around and commentary on putting it together. It's my time, Ash. Have a great day. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.